Welcome to the Mom and podcast. We're your hosts, Suzanne Kearns
and Missy Stevens. We want to help you through everything that happens in the ellipses, from your professional life to your emotional health.
You're a mom and so much more. Let's figure out what comes next together. Welcome to the Mom and podcast. I'm Suzanne Kearns, mom and writer, LGBTQ and sex ed advocate, and today I am counting down the hours to early action college application deadlines for my daughter, not for me. And in slightly related news, I am 50% Reese's peanut butter cups today. So
you're the reason we couldn't find any Halloween candy today.
Yes.
We went to buy it today. It's too late.
Costco.
As we're recording, it is Halloween and they're out.
Costco's the place.
And I'm Missy Stevens, mom and writer, foster child advocate, and this week, wife of an old guy. We are celebrating Mark's big 5-0, and it has me thinking about my own milestone birthday, which is coming later. I'm not as old as he is. And I'll talk about that more in the Look, Listen, Learns. But this week, we are really excited to be chatting with Becky Blades. Becky is a mom and writer, artist, entrepreneur, and philosopher of creative, adventurous living. Since selling her first company, an award-winning communications firm, Becky has devoted her energy to studying and sharing what she has coined Startistry, the art of creative initiative. She wrote and illustrated Start More Than You Can Finish, a creative permission slip to unleash your best ideas, named a must-read by the Next Big Idea Club, and the bestseller, Do Your Laundry or You'll Die Alone, advice your mom would give if she thought you were listening.
Which I just ordered.
I ordered a stack.
Yeah.
Named Best Books of 2014 and one of the top 100 indie releases by Kirkus Reviews. Becky has written for Oprah.com, The Huffington Post, Live Happy, Scary Mommy, and more. Her mixed media artwork is in public and private collections around the world, and she is an active advocate for the arts and entrepreneurship. Becky earned her bachelor's degree at the University of Missouri School of Journalism, and she studied sculpture, welding, painting, and printmaking at the Kansas City Art Institute. Welcome.
So glad to be here.
Oh, well, we are so excited to be talking with you. I mean, I cannot believe we've not discovered each other until this point. We were just talking about that with so much commonality, so many similar interests and loves. So just really excited to learn more about you. So we did hear a little bit about you in your bio, but can you dive in a little deeper about where your career started, how it's progressed, if parenting had any impacts along the way?
Absolutely. Yeah, well, as the bio said, I started in journalism school, and journalism is such a good degree because you have to be a generalist. I didn't even know that. I went into journalism because I got an easy scholarship because my mom was a typesetter for the Kansas City Star. But
Nice.
I came out and I got journalism jobs, and then I got marketing jobs, and I had 7 jobs in 7 years, which would tell you that I'm not a super great or grateful employee. I moved around a lot. And then when I wanted to have kids, I was 30 and I had seen a lot of agencies all run by dudes, and I thought I could do it better. And also, if I wanted to have kids, I needed to have the flexibility I wanted. So I started a company, ran it for 13 years, and was able to sell it when I just, one of your recent speakers, I think Robbie Crawford, was talking about even though in agency business, you can start new things every day, new things for clients. But I did want to sell that business. It was a good time because I wanted to do more artwork and the stress of that and kids in middle school. So yes. I forget what was the motivator. Of course.
Yes.
Was Saturday soccer games was the motivator.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Fortunately, that didn't last long, but it was just that happened. And I remember I got about a year of doing the things I wanted, like writing the great American novel, but at least developing a writing habit and playing in my studio and helping other people that I had not been helping for a long time. So I remember one time the 13-year-old came into my studio after school, and she just, in kind of a huffy way, as only a
I
13-year-old
was
can
getting
pull
ready to
off.
say 13-year-old special gift.
Like, Mom, what are you now? Okay.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
let's unpack that. Like, why are you asking? Well, I mean, you used to be a business person and now I guess you're an artist. But I had a business suit on. I was going out to a meeting, but now you're going to start this company with others. What are you? And my other daughter from the other room hollered, she's a startist. Start stuff. And I felt like that was an insult. Like, well, yeah, I finished stuff too. But we started tossing that word around at our house. And I was starting things for about 10 years. So I was in my late 40s then. So through my 50s, we kept tossing that word around. And I was doing things like I started a couple small businesses. One was an accessories company using French lace to make fancy high dollar things like wedding garters. And I started a tour company and I started we all have to do real estate once in our life. We think that's how we're going to get rich. So I did that and I made art. And at some point, I started hearing voices around me saying, what are you doing? And grown-ups.
Grown-ups.
Not just
Like,
13-year-olds.
right. Did you finish that thing? Are you finishing? I
Mm.
thought you were doing this company. And, the answer was yes to all of it. I did start that thing and maybe I finished it. So maybe I have 3 plates spinning and you should too. Or maybe the answer was no, I found out when I did that I don't like that. And I stopped
Yeah.
doing that. And so all those answers were okay with me, but I still felt, kind of the shame dripping from
Mm.
people. And I'm raising kids in the meantime. And I have creative kids. So they were not visually creative because no, they did not care one whit about the studio space I had
Of
offered
course.
them. They're performance creative and they're both
Mhm.
writers. So, I just really looked at my modeling and about that time somewhere the chronology's lost, but I had a senior in high school. So 2 daughters. The oldest one hit her first day of her senior year and now my life is at home. I work, but that you guys know that morning, first day of school, now one's driving. So
Uh-huh.
they go to school together in
Mhm.
their car.
Yep.
You're there, but you're not. So there's this craziness. And then they get out of the house and the contrast is stark. It's dead
Yeah.
silence. I mean, like your life is chaos. 1 second, that door closes. If you have a garage, you hear that door close too.
Yep.
And then you're stuck with you. And like, oh my gosh. And of course they were the oldest one who is very ambitious was stressful. It was the year of college applications.
Oh, yeah.
And she had big goals. And so what she's thinking is she's already overwhelmed and I'm overwhelmed for her. Plus, I am dealing with that. Oh my gosh, this is the first day of the last year. We start playing those games. I mean, like
Yep.
everything's first and everything.
Oh, yeah, the last
All
of the
the
first and the
lasts.
first of the
Yep.
last and
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Oh, but I
Uh,
just leaned into the grief. Anyway,
yes.
that's when I started the book, Do Your Laundry or You'll Die Alone. Although I didn't know I was starting it, I just started journal entries and I pivoted to humor. I started with poor me every morning. And then I started with bad me, bad me.
Oh,
She doesn't even know how to do her laundry. She doesn't even know how to keep a calendar. I have missed some stuff. Then the resolve. I have work to do. I have 1 year TikTok. I'm going to teach the stuff. I'm going to model the stuff. And we know how that goes. We put too much stress on it. And
they don't want to hear it from us.
they do
Yeah,
not want to
that's
hear
why I got the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I bought a stack of books. I'm giving it to everybody I know.
Here,
then
this
it's not
lady
me.
says,
They occasionally listen. I know, because
no,
it's not
it
even
goes in. They don't listen. It goes,
yeah,
it
they'll
goes
either
in.
die
Maybe.
alone or they're going to get kicked out of their dorm by their roommate who's like, this is disgusting.
Yeah. I know. I love one of your tips is like everybody appreciates neatness. Like
Yes.
your
Right.
roommate
Who's ever
might
told
be kind of messy, but they still appreciate neatness. So you cannot be a slob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people who don't have to live with you, might not want to. Just see how that goes.
I know.
The
I've been looking at the dorm prices for like the singles and the double rooms and stuff. And part of me is just like, not even for my daughter. Like, I don't want the luxury for her, but I'm just like, there's some other student out there who should not have to deal with
I lived with the
the
messiest girl. Like
oh,
she was an only child and she had like a wing in her home. So she had a
Oh.
homework room and a bedroom and an entertainment room and a giant bathroom. It was
oh,
all hers. And we
Mm.
moved into a dorm room shoebox.
oh,
And her
jeez.
stuff would just, I would call it exploding. And every once in a while, I would open the door and I go, Jennifer, friend, you have exploded. It's time to clean it up. Like
Oh
I can
my
barely
God.
open the door to our room, and I'm a very tidy person. So of course it made me extra
Oh,
nuts.
no.
But I like, do you see how all my things have a place? Find a place for your stuff. But
Oh my
it's
gosh. It's
hard.
like, you're
It's also a
like
good
my
lesson.
mom.
So
Oh my
that
God.
was your lesson in parenting teens. You got at least a lesson
Yes.
because
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And I
No,
learned
but
don't
that's
give them that much of their own space because they don't know how to take care of it.
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know whether what I would say now of, advise somebody, get a single or a double. I don't know. All Taylor's roommates were worse than her. And you
Oh
guys,
God.
that is saying so much.
I know. I want
So
the bonding for her, but I
I
just know, like we were just talking about the Irma Bombeck conference and stuff. Missy and I met because we are the perfect roommates for each other. We
Yes.
can like be like
Oh,
chat 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 chat, and then we're just like it's like we're alone in the room. We know when to be like, I just need you to be a plant and just sit there and like and just don't acknowledge me.
You look at your phone. I'm going to look at my phone. We're going to
Yes.
sleep.
But there is something about just having a space to just retreat to when everything's crazy. And I'm like, if her only
yeah.
place to retreat to is this dorm, and mine was easy because I was with my best friend and, we had
Mhm.
had 6 years of mastering how we interacted with each other. But oh
Mhm.
my gosh. Okay. Seriously, we could talk about that book for
Right,
a month and a
right,
half.
So
So
everybody go get it,
we are going to,
especially if you have kids about
yes,
to launch.
right.
we just ordered it. We're going to have you back on to talk specifically about
Okay.
that. But so
Well,
what
the
we were,
story, I'll pick up and I'll make it fast. So that book turned out to be so successful. Well, it turned out to be a book. First of all, I decided to zip it, not tell her the things I was writing, quit making the year a lesson, just enjoy the year. And then I consolidated it and sent into 50 pages and emailed it to her on her first day of college.
oh no.
A week with the subject line, "Do your laundry or you'll die alone," because it needed to get through the noise of her freshman email box.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I sent it. About 3 days later, she wrote back, "Mom, this is funny. I think it's funny. My roommates think it's funny. It should be your first book," because she knew I'd started a couple books. "It
Yeah.
should be your first book, and you should put your art in it, and you should have it done by the time Tess graduates." That's a
Oh
great
my
yeah.
gosh.
So my statistic daughter gave me that assignment, and you cannot turn down a challenge from your kid. I mean, that's the
No.
ultimate modeling, right? So, I
I
couldn't
think
say,
it's the
"I
most
can't," or
beautiful
this other
story.
time.
I
I know.
love that.
So I did, and I didn't have time to get a mainstream publisher because of time. So that was such a great experience. It was so creative. It was, that answer of creating inside a box with those parameters. I
Mhm.
was so much more creative, and it inspired this idea for the second book. So really, I was working on the second book. It's like all of these starts, some of the art in the book, most of it I had sold, but I started an illustrated book and I didn't even know it. We're all starting. You're starting your books right now. You're because
Yeah.
we start where we are with the most passionate thing in our lives, which is very often our kids. Certainly, the people we love evoke the most creativity and emotion. So I just started exploring that, and I decided when my kids were both gone that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with creative, artistic people, and, we all don't think we're creative, but I'm talking about inventors, entrepreneurs, and, we all are creative, but the people who
Mhm.
know it are the best people to hang with.
Yeah.
And what I learned from being with those people really wrote this book. The key point of which is that we are not made up of our biggest finishes and our billion-dollar corporate exits or our masterpieces in the Getty. We are made up of everything we start because it turns up somewhere,
Yeah.
but at the very least, it turns up in us. To not act on our ideas is to deprive ourselves of ourselves. So
Yes.
that that's what this book is about, and it's my old age plan. I'm gonna be talking about it for the rest of my life because it'll get me around people like you, and
Ah,
I think that's a good old age plan or stay young plan.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
just
gosh.
love embracing the starts
Oh,
because I
yes.
think that we get so hung up on the finishes that
Mhm.
I mean, I resonated so much with the book, and as soon as I read it, I looked at my husband and said, "You have to read this," because we talk all the time about things. We're like, "Well, let's not do that now because we can't finish it," or "Let's not do that now because we don't know how to finish it."
Mhm.
I mean, it's a regular conversation in our house, and it was just mind-blowing to me, so I
Tell me
love
why. Is he more of a finisher or are you more of a finisher?
I'm more of a finisher. It's so weird. We're both perfectionists about very different things. So,
Mhm.
then our perfectionism goes and it
Ah,
doesn't happen. He really wants all the information before he does anything,
mm,
Yeah.
anything.
Well, the
And
text you sent
sometimes
me, Missy, was about this idea of letting go of needing to produce excellence and just
yeah.
producing
oh,
nothing. And
yes.
it's
Well put, well
well,
put.
Missy put it that way. She sent me the text of it today, and I was like, "That's
Mm.
it." Like, why do we feel like
Yeah.
we end up doing nothing because we insist on perfection
Yeah. If
or
Mark
finish?
can't see the perfect finished product in his mind, he really doesn't want to start it. And
Uh,
I am a little more inclined to start things and feel
mm,
my way through them. I'm more of if sometimes I see the mess along the way and it just causes me to put the brakes on because I'm not emotionally ready for the mess along the way.
Mm.
Uh, but between the two
and
of us,
take
we have a
that.
hard time getting things done.
So compare that to like think of mastering a skill then. You're almost kind of saying, "Oh, I won't play the guitar if I can't master it." And now Malcolm Gladwell has told us we need 10,000 hours of practice. So if we made our kids do that, I mean, just think what we're loading on people if we say only excellence counts.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
what's so beautiful about kid art is its naivete and its
Yeah.
freshness. And, so for scientists or for inventors and business people, I think call it an experimentation instead of imperfection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Experimentation.
There's joy and beauty in that experimentation. And there's joy in playing the guitar just kind of. Like if
Mhm,
you can
mhm.
hammer out a couple tunes, like I can play a few Christmas tunes on the piano. And
Oh,
my
good.
family all makes fun of me. They're like, "Is it time for Up on the Rooftop?" And I'm like, "You betcha, it's the one I know." And
It
but
might be March, but we're playing it.
this is the song I can play, but there's some joy in that, and that's fun, and that feeds me for a
Absolutely.
minute, and that gives everybody something to laugh about, and there's no reason to be like, "Well, that's all I can play, so I will never touch the piano."
But see,
No.
you know enough to write a song now because as I discovered writing, you know how you're writing stuff and you say like, "Ooh, I said that." Um, I didn't wanna get good at it, I just wanted to get something done.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, I wanted to write a song, and I do not know 2 notes. I took the same music classes in grade school we all did, but music doesn't sink in. But anyways,
Mm.
but I found a musician to help me just so I could write a song. But you know enough because my husband says if you know 3 chords, you can write every country western song. I
That's
think
probably true. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know enough, you could, like, write a song, you could have an idea for a song and pick
Yeah.
something out, so just a little bit of a lot of skills,
Mhm.
I think is such a treasure, and if I could go back, and parent again, I'd let my kids do a little more, smorgasbord tasting
Mm,
from the
mhm.
skills,
Yes.
but they
Oh.
had to get on the club teams, because they might get a college scholarship, they had
Yes.
I
Well,
mean,
the smorgasbord idea. This little thought gets into my head every once in a while. The story of Bill, the 47-year-old guy who like just accidentally discovered like he's the most amazing artist and
Bill.
never knew it until he was 47. And like that's this combination of my greatest hope and my biggest nightmare is like, what if I am secretly like the most magical oboe player in the world and I'll just never know it? Like, so I do feel, and that's why I made my kids do a lot of things growing up because I'm like, you're just never going to know. Like, maybe you are the best kid at karate or softball or whatever. And
Right.
you just don't know until you don't try it. I mean, oh,
Or
yeah.
you just love it, and you're the kid, like the kid in my daughter's basketball team who
It's
was
not the best
never
We
mind,
can
not
edit
the
it out
best,
if
but
necessary.
loved it, and they loved
Oh.
having her there. She was so happy to be part of the basketball team, and, like, some teams would have tried to, get her off the bench. No, 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 and to think that we could love something and not be super good at it. Now, I'm one of those people, like, I can't imagine that, so that's my hang up. The finished product, I can handle a lot because 'cause I'm just like, I got other stuff to do. This painting, this is where it's gonna be." So, people with a lot to do can leave things a little more unfinished, or
Mhm.
maybe we just make our peace with that. Um,
I'd love to talk a little bit. You do an inventory in the book or you talk about doing an inventory of everything you've started. And at first, when I read that, my chest like constricted and I
I
thought, oh my
know.
gosh, that must have been awful. But as I kept reading, I discovered how beautiful it was. So I would love to talk about what you discovered in this inventory of the unfinished.
yeah, well, since I do art, there's a lot of, college, portfolios and old drawings, which I could probably not do today because, I was in practice and
Hmm.
those
The
things
muscle.
take practice, muscle. But, how sometimes you do things and you think you're trying to help yourself, but there's some subconscious part of you that's trying to scare yourself straight. Like,
Mhm.
I can't think of another example but this one, but I thought, "Okay, if I go back and look at all this stuff, it'll be cleansing and I'll see what I really loved." But what I was really doing was punishing myself. I was trying to punish myself because I felt I was at a place where I hadn't started anything big, and I had been to some things where I felt less important than I used to feel, when I was
Mm.
running a company. But what I found was, wow, for everything I started, I tried to remember, gosh, what made me get out paint, which is a big production, or buy paint and
Mhm.
do this. And here's this half-finished blouse. Did I ever really like this color? Or I could sew a sleeve. I didn't know I could sew a sleeve. Or look what my mom saved from when I was 12. Like,
Oh.
it soon became to, "Hey, I'm pretty cool. Look what I did in the first
Mhm.
20 years." And then business-wise, I found vision statements for businesses that somebody should definitely start. And some of them I remembered, wow, yeah, I did this because I was working for this company and they were doing all this stuff wrong. And so I envisioned a company where I would do all this stuff right. But
Mm-hmm.
then I could see how that mental processing ultimately showed up in the business that I did build. It didn't turn out to be this consulting company. It turned out to be a PR firm, but the same kind of customer service standards and passion showed up later. I started that accessories company I told you about. I went all the way to getting a showroom. I spent thousands of dollars, hundreds of hours. But when I found out that for a fashion company, you have to do a new line every year,
Mm.
I
Oh.
so fast said no, thank you. Um, I sold the inventory I had. I saved the stuff left over for myself and my daughter's weddings. I had not one regret
Yeah.
because it was so fun. If I had not done something with that passion that I had for French lace, I would still be thinking about it now. I would still be thinking, I
Mm.
guarantee you, I would still be thinking, okay, that's what I'll do when I'm 70 and I
The
can't do
French.
anything else. And I'm maybe my husband will be dead and I'll have enough money to hire people. Okay. I would really be hanging on to that idea. So I think about like what ideas do you guys have that because in my research I found everybody has one if you ask them the right way. So
Yes.
if you had enough of something, what would you start?
Oh my gosh.
I
What
love
wouldn't we
that question
start?
because it's that we operate in that scarcity place a lot of times that I don't have what I need. And you talk a lot about maybe you just need enough to start. And
Mhm.
I have this fantasy of owning like a maker space that is also a coffee shop and a bookstore. It's a lot,
Oh, come
but
here, I'll do it. In
Uh,
Austin, you could do that in Austin. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I want a place where people can come and like hang out and feed their bodies, but also then go feed their passions. And my husband's a woodworker, so it kind of allows us to have these amazing big tools that we don't have a space for in our house. And
yes.
then other people don't have spaces for those things in their houses, so they can come use the big tools. Anybody listening, don't steal my idea. That's that's my dream.
Oh,
Or do it
so
with me.
do it. I will do it with you. I'm a co-investor. It's done. You
Yes.
heard it on the air. I
Oh,
will,
And we
so
don't have enough to make that happen right now. Like we don't have the financial resources to
Mhm.
buy gigantic tools right now, but we maybe have enough to start the process.
Yeah,
mhm.
maybe build a little she shed in the back that has enough coffee for 2.
Yeah.
And, okay, we to be continued because that's kind of except for the food part, because I can't cook. I could take the husband. I won't steal the idea, but can I have the husband? Because mine has the
Sure,
makes
he
total
wouldn't mind.
sense of yeah, all that, woodworking stuff, if I could have access to that,
Oh, yeah.
all the
It's
world.
amazing. Talk about starting and not finishing though, because
Mhm,
he doesn't always have time to finish. He has a full-time job.
Yeah.
mm,
So we sometimes I have to put the voices out of my head because people do is that
mhm,
finished yet? Oh, why is this room all boxed up and a mess? And it's been like that since the last time I was in your house 6 months
mhm,
ago. Well, it's not finished
right.
Yeah.
because we're in progress
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's interesting that when we talk about like the finishing, there's kind of finishing in the sense of expertise, like you're talking about learning how to play guitar. And then there's finishing in the sense of like you do have this box in your living room that like it's just sitting there reminding you that you have not
Yeah.
finished it for years and years. But we talk a lot about how no experience is wasted. And you're always
Yeah.
using something to get to the next step. So I just do think that even though you may not be doing that particular project, that's this dream project, I think that everything you're doing today, the stuff that you're doing for organizing 8,000 swim meets, is the type of organization and shit togetherness that like you need to do in order to run a business. So I
Yeah.
don't know. It's like training for a marathon kind of thing. I think
Oh,
you're
yeah.
getting your what is it? Your creativity cardiovascular system
Yeah.
in shape
Yes,
so that you're
yes,
ready
yes.
for that next thing, even though it
Mhm,
may not be directly related. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I
I
love
think it
that
is.
part in the book talking about turning pro. Like you kind
Mhm.
of
mhm.
have to turn pro at idea generation.
Absolutely. I mean, it was in the very final stages of the book that I learned, watch a podcast called, Slow Term Multitasking. It's a famous author, I can't think of his name, but he just talks about how the biggest artists and scientists had these huge things going on for their whole lives. Like that Einstein on his deathbed was still working on the theory of relativity or
Yeah.
another stage of it. So the problem with your room, which I love that you have a work in progress, is that if 80% of the people shame you about it, that's the problem. It's not having a work in progress. Now, since you haven't finished it, if you see this great mirror when you go shopping, you still have time. You're like, everything you're doing now could contribute to that room because you
Yeah.
haven't sealed it and declared it finished
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
don't touch it now because it's perfect. I mean, our whole lives are works in progress.
Yeah.
And, I think it helps with parenting. What if we view our kids because never will be finished, right? They are our most beautiful creations. They are works in progress. They are masterpieces. And sometimes we just have to let go and do something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It was so interesting. When I was reading the book, I literally wrote down the question, how do we know when it's idea that we should start or if it's just a distraction from the thing we
Mm,
should be starting? And literally I turned the page and you had the quote, one person's starting step can be another person's avoidance ploy. And so I need to know how to tell the difference. Is there a handy method of being able to differentiate?
Well, the good answer is practice. If you
mhm.
start more, you start to know and age. Like if we start this room before we finish this one, that's an avoidance ploy. We're doing bad
Right.
things. But two examples for that are talking about things and research. We can research something to death. We can, stay on Pinterest forever and ever, finding, I want to do something just like that.
Mhm.
Could be is very likely an avoidance ploy. The way we can handle
Mm,
that is kind of give ourselves a deadline, and it's usually perfectionism. So lean in and make a first draft that is as sloppy as possible or as fast as possible.
mhm,
Um, the reason that not finished has a bad reputation is because, or not started, is that people talk about their ideas and they want feedback, and what they really want to do is talk about them. And I think we should have a place to talk about good ideas that we're never going to
Yeah.
start. But if you're just talking about it and, maybe you should be talking somebody else into starting it because you probably don't want to start it. And where the best example of that is a book. I found that 80% of people want to start books, but they don't really want to start books. They don't want to write books. They want to have a book written. They think that'd be cool, and they think they have enough to say to be in a book. But the
Yeah.
process of writing a book is hideous to them.
Mm.
Having a podcast like this is hideous to me. It is, and I have said to myself a million times, gosh, like, because this is so much fun. I should have a podcast. I could have this guest and this guest. But the scheduling and the work that goes into it,
mhm.
and then having to show up at a certain time. Oh, I mean, I will never do it, and if I ever try, please call me. There will
We'll
You
be
could
stop
just
you.
come talk on ours. Just come
okay.
be
Yeah.
our guest.
Oh my gosh.
So, the discerning what we should start, discerning a good idea from a bad one, I think that's why we need to practice, because it's
Mhm,
like anything, trusting our gut, and we teach our kids this too about relationships. There are a lot of things that sound titillating at the
Mhm.
beginning, partly because of their novelty. But then
Yeah.
we start to learn, hey, I'd be great at that. We start to have a gut, and then we need to use the starting process, which is we have the idea, we think it through, what will it take, how will it impact our lives? And then the third step is make a decision, and that should be done quickly. And the fourth step is action. We do all those things simultaneously. A lot of people don't act on their ideas because they can't decide. And
Mhm.
it's not that they decide not to start, it's they decide not to decide. So
mm,
the first thing we can do is let's just decide to decide. How do we do that? Well, we make rules for ourselves. Like one year I made a decision that if something seems possible, I kind of cleared the deck on my calendar, and I was writing this book. So I said, I'm going to write this book. And if somebody makes a challenge for me to start something, and it won't sound like a challenge, it'll sound like, would you chair this event? Whatever.
mhm,
I'm going to say yes. So that was my rule. And I said yes a lot. In that year, I wrote a song. Did a sold out comedy show. I did a comedy reading for my daughter's comedy club. Anyway, I did all these things because my rule was I gotta say is to say yes. And some people that I've coached have done things like, I'll say yes to my idea unless blah, 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 blah. Or if I can afford it, blah, blah, blah. If I can do it within 2 weeks, they'll,
Mm.
and so you make a rule. So you just kind of make one decision. It's like that eating decision, make it
mhm.
once. I
Mhm.
don't eat candy. That process then pushes us into a happier part of the process. So once we decide, we have to take action. And then, it puts us back to imagining. Once we do the first thing that we know how to do, then our imaginations kick in, which is the thing that gives us endorphins and dopamine and this whole starting process, especially to creative people, it's self-perpetuating, it gives us momentum, it gives us excitement, and then we just wanna figure out how to keep going.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then if we are just very happy and not ashamed to pull the plug when we have our satisfaction from it, then we just make room for the next thing.
I think that's a
So
great point, that not being ashamed. Shame is such an idea killer, and it kills even sharing the ideas because you think, well, I don't want to tell anybody I had this and did nothing with it. That's
Yes.
crazy. When you talk say it like that, that's crazy. Just
Or you pre-shame the not finishing. Like, I don't want to bring up this idea because I know that if I don't finish it, then they're going to know that I had the idea and didn't finish
and
it.
didn't
And
do a
then,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
yes.
preemptive
Pre-shame.
avoidance
I
of the
like it.
shame.
But what if we all had friends who said that we're all startists and we knew it, and we met for coffee every 2 weeks, and instead of shaming it, we said, "Hey, I have this idea to start a podcast, and I've already declared I'll never do that." And people said, "Great, like, tell me who's gonna be your first guest?"
Yeah.
Who's
I
also
love
gonna be your last guest.
It's gonna be
People
your
that,
only
like,
guest on your only show.
lean yeah, lean into it. Or
Yeah.
or what if, like, started putting unfinished paintings on the wall and people think they're finished. Or a pop-up book club. I wanted to start a book club. Well, I love the pop-up store,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because that means, yeah, I'm doing this weekend, not as a career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just pop up, start something. But the point is, if we're around people and supported by people that give us the joy of that idea when it arrives,
Mhm.
before we talk ourselves out of it. And that's the other thing about the starting process is that think part. It's one of the 4 steps, but it should be the shortest because
Mm.
Oh,
we
whoops.
are
We're
designed
doing that
yeah,
wrong.
we are
Yeah.
designed to think it out of existence. We are
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
designed
Uh-huh.
to reduce our risk. We're designed for survival, right? So
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
we overthink it, we talk ourselves out of it, or we talk
Oh.
ourselves into putting it off to a more perfect time, or when we're better at that, or when the kids are gone.
Mm.
Mhm.
So
Or when I've
think
researched it
fast.
enough or when I've done this.
Exact.
Oh my gosh. Yes. No, and I think
Yeah.
that's why this book came into our life at just the perfect point because I think Missy and I are both maybe stuck in the a little bit of that and also in the deciding to decide the
Yeah.
phase of
We're
it.
kind of on that cusp of like
Yeah.
our kids are older and we're in that phase. It's part of the reason we started the podcast. Like we're moms and dot dot dot. We maybe have spent 2 years in the dot 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 thinking.
Yeah.
Like, what are we
Oh,
gonna be, moms?
but
And
you're
you
doing
can
this. Oh my
but we're doing
gosh.
that.
You're
Yes.
doing I mean, you're creating a show. Look, you have done another thing that is just so good that I can't do I anymore, I think. Is that you have set yourself like a forced statistic habit and
Yes.
just lean into it. Maybe I mean, I don't know what you want out of life personally, individually, but I mean, you have
That
done
makes 3 of
an
us.
amazing thing. Yeah. Now that doesn't make you feel good if you're tired of doing it or if there's something that you're really longing to do that you don't have time to because of this.
Mhm.
I think you're doing awesome.
No, I think it actually inspires the things that we should
Yes,
be
I
doing that we
agree.
put off doing. I don't think it's taking away from time we would be doing it. I think
No,
it's actually keeping that fire burning more than
I feel like it
anything.
feeds it.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
love that idea, the habit. And oh my gosh, we wanted to talk about that, but we're getting to the end of the
Oh,
show.
no,
So
but
yeah,
only
we'll
5 minutes.
you gotta go buy the book if you want to learn about how to make this a habit.
Yeah, and tricking your brain into being a startist, you can
Oh
do it.
yeah, I know you wanted to talk about your brain stuff,
You know I
Missy.
love to talk
Well,
about
I know.
neuroscience. Love it, love it. So everybody get the book, read about it. We'll talk about it on another show.
This
Yes,
was the best talk. I don't know how it could have been better.
oh, so much fun. So let's see. it's time for the look list. Oh no, before we do look listen learns, because we'll
Yes.
forget. What is the date that the book comes out? How can people get it? Where can they find you? All that good stuff.
Yeah, November 1st. So I think by the time this airs,
It'll
it'll
be
be
out.
out there and you can get it anywhere. This will make a push for independent bookstores because
Yay.
those artists need our support if we want kids to have bookstores to go to on date night.
I love it.
It's my favorite date.
November 1st?
Date night or November
No.
1st?
Oh, different date. Sorry.
That's awesome.
Favorite
Date
date,
night.
yes.
Date night is bookstore date night. Is my favorite kind of
Oh,
date.
okay.
Yes. November 1st is a lovely day, especially if you have a book coming out.
Not when it is early action deadlines for
Oh,
college.
yeah. It is
That is
not the
the
greatest day
worst.
when your kids are applying for college.
Oh my God, Becky, you would not even believe my daughter, in addition to doing the college applications, she is a visual artist. So our entire downstairs, talk about paintings not being finished, things that I thought were finished. I'm like, wait a minute, now that has this on it. Bunch of oil paintings drying all over every surface downstairs because the portfolio needs to be uploaded. Well, she's hoping to do it tonight because there's nightmare stories about how they just crash the night of and then you end up missing deadlines and stuff, getting all your artwork
Yeah, she
uploaded.
needs to do that tonight early.
But yes, so there is much artwork that I thought was finished, but apparently is not finished. She is
yeah.
definitely a startist, but this week she's being a finisherist too.
Just tell her it's finished and you can't think of anything that could be better and that, she could only mess it up from then. I mean,
Yeah,
you pick your timing, but
yeah, put the paintbrush down.
That's my specialty. Anytime I've tried like a painting or craft or something like that, because I really would love to be able to watercolor. I do not know when to stop.
Yeah.
Like I just can't. And
You
then
mess
I
it up?
add, and then it
And then it's
pretty
just a
soon.
puddle.
Oh, it's so bad. And the paper is like so wet that it falls apart.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Yeah, I could talk about that forever too, but now it is time for our look, listen, learns. We're gonna do a speed
Yes.
round edition. So for anybody who is listening for the first time, our look, listen, learn segment, we just spend a couple minutes talking about what we're reading or watching or learning about. And we don't want to put our guest in the hot seat first. So Missy, do you want to tell us what you're learning? No, look, listen, learning this week. I can't talk.
Yeah, I'll try to go really fast. So my look is I binged so quickly. I can't even believe it. I watched Bad Sisters on Apple TV.
Oh, I haven't seen
And
that yet.
it's all out now. And so I did a couple episodes a day. It's great. Very fun. And I love her name just blanked. So edit this out, Suzanne.
Okay,
What
I'll edit
is
it out.
Sharon Horgan? I love her.
Say it again like you're not so surprised so I can edit it in.
Sharon Horgan. No, I do love Sharon Horgan, or is it Hogan? Whatever. It's Horgan, I think.
We're professionals.
Yeah. She helped adapt this and make it for TV. And it's a great story. And then I've been listening, like every basic girl out there, I've been listening to Taylor Swift Midnights.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's really good. Really good. It's been on repeat. And then my learn, I mentioned in our intro that Mark just turned 50. I have 14 months until I turn 50. So his birthday really sparked thinking about me.
I've only got 1 week. It's next Monday.
Yeah, get started.
Yeah.
And so it was really eye-opening to me and really soul-opening to me because I decided I would just quickly make a list of 50 things I wanted to do before I turned 50. And I did it quickly. I thought, I bet I'm not going to be able to come up with 50. I came up with 50. I still might switch a few of them, but I brain dumped this list of 50 things. I've already started making progress on some of them. I have set goals for myself. Some of them are very little, like I'm getting my ears pierced. They're already pierced, but I'm getting some more holes. And some of them are big, like getting an agent. Who knows if I can do that in the next 14 months, but I have these goals that are set out before me. So it feels exciting and it's really energizing. And it was a good learn for myself to be like, I can do this. I do have all these ideas. I can be a startist. It was perfect timing with this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is me. What about you, Becky?
Oh, okay. This is a fun game. And I had to think. So watching TV counts. My girls are here. So we're watching Abbott Elementary for the first time. They have seen it and they can't believe that we haven't. So we just watched it for the first time last night. I'm obsessed. Just to throw a plug in for my oldest daughter just wrote a book too. She writes for the John Oliver Show. And just
We love John
Love
Oliver. That's
John
so cool.
Oliver.
she won an Emmy this year. So she was at the
Thanks.
Emmys and saw, had sightings of all the Abbott Elementary people. And so
Oh,
like
how
just
cool.
She
nothing but
fangirl
nice
big
things
time.
about it. Yeah. Because the writers, are not in the same place with the performer. I mean, they use the same restrooms, but different conversation. So yes, watching Abbott Elementary. You guys, I'm
Wait,
listening.
what's her book? Did you say she has a book?
Oh yeah, she has
Yeah.
a book coming out. It doesn't come out till April, but it's called Guide to Midwest Conversations, and it's a humor book about kind of poking fun at the Midwest.
Oh my,
But
wait a
I
minute. That
love
sounds
it.
so familiar. What is her name?
Taylor K. Phillips.
We talked about
kind of-
Midwest Nice recently, so maybe
Oh,
that's
No,
why.
but
yeah,
this.
it's some Midwest nice. She's not doing any national press, but you might
Okay.
follow her. I mean, you
That
might.
probably is. I bet I
Yeah.
do. I bet I do. Okay, so
She's
we'll
super funny.
link to her social stuff too.
Yeah,
Look,
we will.
Maybe we can do mother-daughter things sometime. Since it doesn't come out till April, she's not talking about it much, and she's
Yeah.
going to help me with my launch. And of course, she's so much farther ahead than me because she's like a little celebrity since her Emmy.
I love that. Good for
Yes,
her.
I have 3 Twitter followers.
Oh,
I'm
and thank her for
listening.
us. I swear the John Oliver show is the only thing that's giving me hope in democracy, or I feel like it's saving it right now. So
Uh-huh.
hats off to
Yes.
her.
And so I'm listening to the tapes in my head because I've got these, I can't help it. The corn song, I
Oh
like
my
corn. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
The corn song?
Suzanne's very good about staying off of the TikTok, but I am not. So I hear the corn song all the time.
You guys,
The band Corn, or is it
No,
about
play it.
corn?
It's a
cannot
little
describe
boy.
it. There's a little boy that likes corn, and they made a song about it. And it's his voice. You can hardly discern what the word is. But
Yes.
my daughter's book has, again, it's a humor book. It has 2 ears of corn on it because the artist that was designing the cover, he said, like, what's some visual that like unites the Midwest or makes you think of the
Oh,
Midwest? And she
yes,
said,
yeah.
corn.
Corn.
So this song is perfect. I did not know it's a TikTok trending song. Cannot get it out of my head. Google it so you can watch the YouTube or go to YouTube. So you
I'm
can watch the video.
scared. I'm tempted to do it
I'll
right
send it to
now.
you, Suzanne. It's this. I mean, the little boy is so darling, and it started with him just explaining why corn was his favorite in the most heartwarming way.
Huh, it's a
And
big
then
lump
somebody-
with knobs, is what he
Yeah,
says. It's a big
yeah.
lump with knobs.
No.
You can't imagine a more
It's got
beautiful
the
thing.
juice.
Oh
It's
my
got the
God.
juice.
Okay, that I know what I'm doing immediately after this.
Yeah, darling little boy. And then you'll be humming about corn all day long.
And then I'll be
Yeah,
listening to that. Oh my gosh.
So
And
I'm
have
not
you
a big-
learned anything?
And I'm learning TikTok, you guys, thanks to Irma. It was a great
Oh,
workshop about TikTok against my better judgment, against everything I am. But the thing is now books sell on TikTok and I'm actually having a
yes.
blast. And it's something I'm giving as a tip of how to practice starting because
Yeah.
the woman who gave the workshop said that it takes her 20 minutes because these things you feel like, the youngins take 5 minutes and post this artwork. I say, be straight with me. How long does it take to do one post? And she says, I spend about 20 minutes. So 20
Okay.
minutes for one post.
Okay.
That
But
makes me feel better because I do feel like I am the slowest person in the world whenever I
do
try to do
too.
one. And I'm like, I must be doing this wrong.
yeah. So anyway, I'm learning TikTok and I don't hate it. So
Okay. I
Good.
know I
I'm going
kinda
to find
stay
you
away
on
from it.
TikTok and follow you.
oh thanks. You'll be like 18 or something.
That might be more than we have.
That's more than we have. Of course, we post a TikTok, although we have a big TikTok secret coming.
Oh,
Like,
that's
we
true.
have a big plan.
It's so secret. I almost forgot to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It is so secret. Both of us have failed to really make a lot of progress on it.
We'll
But
start.
for our
I
100th
tell you,
episode, we have a little TikTok.
once
we
November
promise.
2nd hits, actually that's a lie because then we got to go on college visits. But no, it's this has just been The November
Yeah,
1st
you've had a
deadline
couple
has just
crazy
been like
weeks.
burp, burp, burp.
Hmm.
Okay, do you have a couple minutes? Oh, we've already put you over your 11 o'clock
Yeah,
stop.
are you
but-
going to do one?
Yeah,
Or-
so I was
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Or I was going to let you jump off if you didn't have time.
Oh,
I'll just
listen,
tell
I'm gonna go on
Missy.
here. What's your TikTok handle?
What is
Um,
our TikTok handle, Missy?
Are we Mom and Pod or Mom and Podcast on there? That's so crazy that we
That's
don't
a good
know. I'm going to
question.
find us real quick. Yeah, it's Mom and Podcast, all one word. Mom and Podcast with the and spelled out.
Okay.
Yep. And it will be updated
And I
shortly.
accidentally just opened it and started playing one. Could y'all hear that?
No, I can't. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a look.
Okay, what's your look?
My look is this book, The Plot, which I just get my husband's Castaway books. Like he reads a lot of books because he just got an agent. He is
Yes, he
working
did.
on his book. And so he's very much more in the suspense thriller genre than I am. But I'm really getting into a lot of these books. And on the top of it, it says that Stephen King loves it. So I was like, that's amazing. So it's called The Plot by Jean Humph Corellas.
Ooh.
But it's so interesting. I'm going to read just because I do such a bad job of summarizing books. But the main character is this guy, Jacob. And he was a promising novelist and had a respectable publishing career of his first book. But then everything kind of went blah, blah, blah. And now he's teaching at a third-rate MFA program and struggling to, just get his mojo back. And he gets this student who's just this total asshole, really super arrogant, and announces that he does not need, teaching help because the plot of his book is so good that no one could mess it up. It's like the best plot ever. And of course the guy's like, yeah, sure it is. But then he tells him the plot. And he's like, oh my God, it is. Like, it's the best. And then so he keeps on following up to see if this guy ever writes it, and then finds out that he died. And this a lot of this isn't super spoiler alert. Like, this happens pretty early on. And then the whole rest of it is like, do I take it? Do I not? If I do, what does that mean? And then so anyway, for us writers, it's just this fun idea of like, what do you own? Because it's like, it's a plot. If he just takes this general nugget of an idea, there's only so many ideas in the world, kind of thing. And the actual creation of writing it is the artistry. So it's just kind of this interesting, like, what do we own? What do we not own? We get really nervous about sharing ideas, but then you listen to the #AmWriting podcast and they'll totally tell you, like, there's really only 6 stories in the history of mankind.
There's
and we
that
just
book.
tell
What
them
is
all
that
in
book?
different
And it's
ways.
like, yeah, like it's an old book. I have it on my shelf. And so I'll try to find it for our show notes because it's not coming to me now. But there are like 6 main storylines. And like, if you watch Hallmark, I think is the best one.
Yeah.
You see every basic story retold.
Yes, these tropes.
That's all their Hallmark movies are, is just these 6 basic plots with different hats.
Yes. But this one was really fun. It was super quick and it was interesting because my friend Allison, who is a literary agent, she knows all the ins and outs of books and stuff. And she's like, you know what? The author who wrote that book was actually having a hard time writing this book, which is The Latecomers, and was getting stuck. And so just kind of threw this book together as like a cleansing of her brain so that she could go back and work on this. I know, isn't that interesting? So just had to get out of her own way.
Story. I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, but it's so interesting because this one is such a different read. It is very much just like easy breezy, fast. Like, you know how I am. I fall asleep after a page, but I was like reading chapters and going and going and going. Whereas this book, I started reading, and it's like a page at a time. And then I'm like, not that it's like bad. I mean, it's the same writer, still a really good writing, still a good story. And in fact, Allison
just a different pace.
That this is one of her favorites that she's read in a really long time. And she's got great taste in books. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stick with it. But it's
what if they had said, I have this idea for this other book, but I'm not going to start until I finish this one?
Yes,
you wouldn't have that, right?
Exactly. And then she wouldn't have had Stephen King saying that this is his favorite book he's read in a long time. So
that's encouraging because that's kind of what I did. I put the first one aside because it's not coming together. And I just started the next idea because that feels like it's coming together really quickly.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And that was the thing. She just kind of needed to flush some stuff up or shake it out or I don't know what. So it does happen. And apparently this one is also amazing too, but I'm going, it's going slowly. I'll come back to that one in about 3 months when I finish it one page at a time at night.
There you go.
So that's what I'm looking at. I don't know. I don't know that I'm learning anything. I'm learning to back off a little bit of my daughter and her application process because I'm just like, there's only so much you can do, and I cannot help with the art portfolio. I mean, I'm helpless. It's not like I can do anything there. So
she just has to do it.
I know. So I was trying to overcompensate with the writing portion because she sent me her essay, the Big Common Core essay, yesterday. Like that was the first time I'd seen a single word of that thing. She's been kind of working on it with her English teacher, just working on it herself. And my husband's a writer. I do some writing. And so I was very proud of myself that I did not see it until this weekend. But then my first thing was like, we could just tighten this up here. Or we could just switch out this word choice here. We could So I did, the first thing I did, it was like, edit, how about these edits? And this ending would be really fun. And I had this one line I told my same friend, Allison, who had offered to read it over for her as well. I was like, this line I have is so good that I'm going to apply college just so I can use it. She's like, that's great because Zoe has chosen not to use it. And I'm like, oh, and I'm really proud of her because she's stuck to her guns. She has taken our input and she's kind of made it her own.
You guys, our daughter never showed us hers. We had zero input. She didn't give us anything. And then she made her money tutoring, helping kids do their essays. And she would say she really helped them was come up with a topic because they could, if they get the right topic, they can write it themselves. And she worked in the admissions office and she thinks,
you can tell.
She's going to be fine. She's an artist.
I know. And it is so good. And it's so good. And I'm so excited because I was like, what if she shows me this thing and I can't even, I don't know. Yeah. But no, I mean, it really was just a couple little tweaks. Like, what if you move this here? You know how it is when you send something to your editor and they're like, the last paragraph should be your intro and blah, blah, blah. So that kind of stuff. And she's like, no, it shouldn't. I'm just going to go ahead and she did a few little things here and there, but I'm just super, actually, it was kind of funny. The things that we did agree to tweak were things that other people had told her to do. And maybe I think part of us was like, that doesn't sound like you, or that doesn't, whatever.
Interesting.
So whatever it is, whatever school she gets into, I'm just really proud of her and knowing that like she got in because she's doing the full application process. I have not seen whatever that is. We did the FAFSA thing. So as much as I'm saying that like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy getting ready for this November 1st deadline, it is really just me like spinning around in circles like a dog chasing their tail because
you just have anxiety.
Yeah. It's just, I can't focus on anything else just because it's like watching your kid up on stage at their first dance recital or whatever, like when you just hold your breath the whole time. And I'm just doing that. It's not like I am actually participating in any meaningful way. This literally should take 0 hours of my time, but it's just, I'm not functional or helpful in any other way.
It's taking your emotional space, your heart space, like that.
Yes.
It's a lot. It takes a lot out of you.
Yeah. So that is, when I say I am busy, it's not actually doing anything. It's just, I'm busy trying to keep myself out of her space, basically. Like every time I go by her door, I'm like, nope, don't knock on it. Don't knock on it. Leave her alone. Let her do her thing. So yes. And my listening is probably just listening to my husband, who's like, it's okay. Like, she's going to be fine. She will.
She is.
She's going to make it. Oh, I know. So yes, I'm
art school's the hardest. That's why I didn't go art school. But once she gets in, I hope to talk to you to hear how that parenting that is.
Well, no, that's the fun part because she's our artist who decided, when was it, a month ago, Missy?
Not even, I don't think.
She wants to become a physical therapist. So she's Trojan horsing the art portfolio to get her into these like awesome schools and then being like, boop, I'm going to go take your chemistry classes. So that, I mean, so she still wants to do the art. And I do think it would be a big loss to the world if she did not nurture her art. She's one of those, like you said, the natural artist that like, it's like
Yeah,
nothing I've
full
ever
of
seen
ideas.
before. Yeah.
Mhm.
But she also has this side that wants to see surgeries and like work in a
Yeah.
hospital and do all this stuff. So
And she can do it all. Like,
yeah,
there's no reason why not.
yeah, that she's a startist. She's going to start
Mhm.
all these things. She's going to start chemistry. We'll see if she finishes it. And but it's yeah, lots of different opportunities. But so yeah, trying to find all these schools that have really great programs for art, but also for pre-med type
Some
things. So
sciences. Yeah.
it's few and far between. So that's why she's working really hard to.
Steve,
Mhm.
find the schools, finding
Yeah.
the schools, all that work that you did, I guess, last year.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. That is where I did add a touch of value. I'm good at
That is where
researching
I feel
crap.
like I'm doing a lot of work. 'Cause it's
Yes.
overwhelming to them. And my son doesn't have the first idea of all the schools that are out there.
Mhm.
And
Well, neither did I. Oh my
neither
gosh.
did I at that age. And I really wish someone had forced me to look more into it. I mean,
Yeah.
people gave me resources and tools, but at that age, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So,
2 of her top 5 schools I'd never heard of before, like 6 months ago. So, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
there's a lot out there. There's a place for everybody. So
Yep.
they just need a little help finding it.
So, yes, big hugs to any other parents out there who are going through the
Yeah, by the
college
time this
admission
airs, they will have
process.
survived the early decision deadline,
Well, and then
and
the regular decision's
then the
coming up
regular
January
deadline's coming.
1st. So some of y'all might just be ramping up and be in the heat of it, whatever. We salute you.
Mhm,
We are there
mhm.
with you. Oh my gosh. But no, I just love the I'll get back to the book about being your own startist and
So
starting
great.
more than you can finish and letting go of the shame of not having things perfect or not having things done all the time. And like we said with the books from this week, the plot and the latecomer, there's a lot to be said for not finishing one and
Yeah.
getting a little distracted for a while and coming back if it makes sense to.
yeah, pause is a perfectly acceptable thing.
Yeah.
Pausing on one piece of work to work on something else. I won't dive into it too much, but the brain actually needs that. And for your book, it could be it is processing. If
Mhm.
there's an
Mhm.
unfinished project in there, the brain is working on it months and
Yeah.
years. So just like treat it like it's a computer. You put the stuff in and it's just processing.
I love
I
that thought. I love that. I talk about that
Me
a lot
too.
with my calculus class. I failed calculus miserably in high school, went and took it like 6 months later in college and set the curve with an A plus. And I firmly believe
Her brain
my
was just
brain just needed and I did. I quit halfway through calculus because I'm like, I just, even with the
I
teacher
don't get
taking
it.
the test with me, I could not do it. And yeah, I think my brain just needed that
Had to
to,
cook a while.
I'm gonna assign you something. I'm gonna talk to students about it. You may remember there's a place where the early research was done on students in art school, an illustrator's
Mhm.
class,
Mhm.
graduating seniors. But I would love to know what your daughter thinks about it if she reads it. Like the question is giving this information to kids when they're deciding
Mhm.
what to do, would that give them more confidence? I think it will to say,
Yeah.
oh, I can do this thing that I want to do or that I have to do and not worry that I've chucked away all my opportunity for the future. I can keep starting. I can start this now and I can still start that later, but also to tell them that there's no shame, certainly not from your parental home
Mhm.
in trying things and dabbling
Right.
and because I only got it from neglect. What you find out is that, when your parents are busy, like in the old days when we were underparented, you take initiative and you try things because nobody's there to tell you not to.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And today
Right.
in this era of, super concerned parenting, I won't say it's wrong, but we keep telling them, no, you just have a year to get your portfolio ready. Implied in that is you can't do these other things. So I hope
Right.
this book tells us, the empty nesting moms is the time that it came to me. And those are my people. But I think kids will find something different in it. So if you happen to share it with your daughter, I'd love to get a review
Yeah.
or write them.
Wow.
I'd
I
love to.
do think that is because again, this whole idea of the portfolio is everything needs to be finished. Like
Yeah.
they want completed, your best completed work. And it's just
I
like,
feel like that's an unfair ask for art school.
it
Like they're going to school
is.
to learn more about art. Like it's unfair to say you're 18. Let me see your best completed works. Let me see what your ideas are. Let me see what your her ability
Yeah.
shows, whether it's completed or not.
Yeah, but no, I think that's really
Teacher's
interesting. I am
ability.
going to bring that up to her. And you know what? I'm going to put the brakes on myself being that voice that is being like, okay, well, you better finish it. Kind of like I said, I thought some of them were finished and maybe inside her head, she didn't think they were. But yeah, I think that is an interesting thing to bring up and just remind myself for myself and then also for my kids.
Yes.
So that they can have fewer years of that shame and that negative voice telling you it has to be done.
Yet.
No, you're never finished. We're not finished.
We're all still cooking.
Yeah.
All still cooking.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm so excited. I've got the books coming and I've got the book coming about doing the laundry or You'll Die Alone. We're going to have you come back to talk about that.
Love to.
But thank you and congratulations. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Happy
so tomorrow's the
birthday.
big day. We
Fingers
will
crossed.
Yeah, this episode is going to be coming a little later than the actual book birthday, but we'll share it in our group so people can get to know you a little bit before this episode airs. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. It was great to meet you.
This is so fun.
I'm a big fan. I'll be out there ticking and talking with you.
I love
awesome.
it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Take
Bye,
care.
ladies.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining us for the Mom and podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show today. And if you know someone else who could benefit from today's episode, be sure to share it with them. Also, please subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find links to all the things we discussed today in the show notes over at our website, momandpodcast.com, with the AND spelled out. In between shows, you can find us at the socials, including our private mom and community Facebook group. You can find links to the group, all of our socials, and our questions and comments section over at our website, momandpodcast.com. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate you so much. Now go out there and make your ellipses count.